Hello everyone. So you probably have heard already about the game between Dundalk and Drogheda United in Loud, and particularly with the flares, and of course a young lad, 12 years old, was hit on top of the head with a flare. Now, first of all, I don't know how they got in with the flares. Second of all, there's a huge amount of damage done to the pitch, and not even that too, there's a 12-year-old boy who was struck in the head with one. Thankfully, nobody was seriously injured because again, these flares are dangerous, and again, the government at the moment are pausing the funding for the League of Ireland games because obviously, the turf, etc., on the pitch, not the turf itself, but the grass, kind of the astroturf on the pitch, and the whole lot of it's pretty much paid for by the taxpayer. Pretty much, the League of Ireland games is funded by the Irish state, basically. And it's a milk cow nobody was killed for, so nobody had their hairs set on fire. Because these flares are how dangerous. Like you can see with the marks on the pitch, if you look at the thumbnail, it is quite bad. It's very, really, really bad, and it shows you if it was on human skin or like, God forbid, if it did hurt somebody, like as I said, but that 12-year-old boy only thankfully only hit him in the head, but it didn't, it didn't burn him or anything like that. Um, but it's extremely dangerous, and it shouldn't have been. It shouldn't. I don't know how they got in with it, but it's something that we see in England. It's something that we see across the world too, with flares being thrown on pitches, etc. It's very dangerous, really, really dangerous. It just shows you the people that done this. It's not everybody, just to say. It's only a small minority, about five maybe people at most. They don't care for themselves first, though. They don't care for anybody around them. As I say, this 12-year-old boy was only going to watch a game. You shouldn't have to be worried about being hit in the head with a flare or anything that matter. But of course, the damage done to the pitch too is thousands, hundreds of thousands. We could be talking 300,000 damage maybe done to the pitch, because it's basically burned into the grass, the astroturf. And of course, that all have to be replaced, except of course the taxpayers flipping the bill for it. But it's extremely dangerous, especially when you see the thumbnail. It just shows you how dangerous it is. If it did get stuck in the stand, take for example, it could have burned the stand to into bits and killed many people. God, thanks be to God, didn't happen. But it's not good enough. It's really, really not good enough that people would do this. And I do think we need. First of all, where was the guards? Is the guards asleep or something like that? Because obviously these League of Ireland games, they probably should be on Garda Síochána O'Connor present, the same as the GAA game. There probably should be some guards around. Probably wasn't any guards to be found. Because it's too much work, having to enforce the law. We're going after unaccompanied drivers, etc. But we won't go after people that are maybe putting people in risk, etc. We won't do that. That's too much hard work. But yeah, it's extremely dangerous. It's really, really extremely dangerous stuff. And we do have to have a conversation, because probably, like, I don't know how these people got the flares, but I think we should have more stricter laws in terms of people with flares, etc. There's not really much need for people to have flares, like only civilians that have flares around the place. There isn't really any need for that. So I don't know how they got them or where they got them, but I do think we should be a lot more tougher, particularly when it comes to this football games and crowded venues and stuff like that. It's extremely dangerous. Whatever, but if you want to do it in the field in the middle of nowhere, you can go ahead and do that in the middle of nowhere if it's not bothering anybody, or if you're not a danger to anybody else. But if you're doing this in the middle of a match, like in the crowded stadium, in a crowded area, you're not going to get off with it. So that they shouldn't get off with it. But hopefully that 12-year-old is doing okay. Of course, he probably has shocked after it, etc. He's very lucky. As I say, because these things can do real damage. They're really dangerous. The worst, I don't know what's worse. I think fireworks would be worse, but flares not great either. Let's put that way. They're dangerous. How are dangerous? But when you look at the thumbnail, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, let me know what you think. What do you think? Do you think it was handled very poorly? Because surely they must have known. Because again, these things are not small too. They're not like small. Of course, you could probably bring them in a bag, etc. But surely that the cops should have probably stopped before even one of them was thrown. Like, one of them should have only been thrown to the guard, should have been on top of the people that were throwing them. It's the fact of the matter, where were they? Were they all asleep, the guards, or what were they doing? Because they shouldn't probably been allowed to throw, because there's maybe it was about 15 thrown. Looking at the pictures I'm looking at, there's about 15 or so maybe thrown. They should have only got thrown one before they were all caught, etc. If the guards were doing their job. But anyway, let me know what you think. Subscribe for more, and bye.